Adrian Newey laughs. The greatest designer in Formula One history, the man behind Red Bull's record-breaking championship season this year, is being questioned on the degree of his genius. He has just been asked about the secrets of his skills in aerodynamic engineering. The question that prompts the mirth? Is it true you can see the airflow? No, of course not, he replies. Except, it turns out he can. I can picture it, Newey says. And if I try to be objective, that's perhaps one of my strengths, that I can actually picture things well in my mind's eye. Newey insists that quality is certainly not unique. We have got several great engineers now who can also do that. But he believes in his case it was developed through a combination of genetics and childhood experience. His father was a vet who had a great interest in maths and engineering, while his mother's side of the family was very artistic. That's ultimately what you need, that combination of the creative, artistic side, measured with an engineering discipline and analytical side, he says. When he was about 11, Newey says, during very long, lonely summer holidays he started sketching designs of racing cars, and turning them into models with metal and fiberglass. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, but what I was unwittingly doing was developing the ability to picture something, sketch it, and develop it in 3D form. It was the process of putting it into 3D that was the important bit. Then, if you take the 10,000-hour rule, there I was kind of in an unwitting way practicing that from a very early age. Red Bull's success was totally unexpected. The context for this is the Red Bull RB19, the car in which Max Verstappen and his team have achieved the most successful season in F1 history by every possible metric. Newey is Red Bull's chief technical officer, a role in which he acts as leader and inspiration for a team of engineers who have produced what is undoubtedly one of the greatest F1 cars ever made. Its success is down to the way the car's surfaces interact with the air flowing over it as it charges around a Grand Prix track, braking and turning, pitching, sliding imperceptibly, and accelerating its driver on the limit of its capabilities. It does so more effectively, keeping the highest level of downforce more consistently and more stably than anything else in the field. This, in a nutshell, is what Newey does better than anyone, and has done in F1 for more than 30 years for Williams, McLaren, and now Red Bull, leading the design on cars that have won 12 drivers and 11 constructors' world titles since 1992. Newey is a diffident, unassuming character for one of such extravagant gifts. He eschews the limelight, and for this exclusive conversion with BBC Sport has made an exception to his general distaste for interviews. The Red Bull is the latest in a series of era-defining car designs for which Newey is ultimately responsible, even if he is always keen to emphasize that F1 is clearly not about one person, and developing the engineering team and working with that team has also been a huge satisfaction. The success of this year, 20 victories in 21 races so far, 18 of them for Verstappen, and doubtless another to end the season in Abu Dhabi this weekend, was totally unexpected, says Newey. Red Bull dominated the second half of last season, but he says, we fully expected this year that everything would close up. And he believes Red Bull's success is rooted in the fact that when F1's new regulations were introduced for 2021, marking the biggest rule change for 40 years, we managed to get the fundamentals of the car right. The good thing about that was it allowed us to take an evolutionary approach, to understand the strengths and weaknesses of last year's car and try to address that appropriately, he says. This is a theme through Newey's career at big regulation changes in 1998, when he was at McLaren, then at Red Bull in 2009 and 2022, his designs have been the ones that set a trend which most other teams ended up following. We have managed to read regulations changes well, he says, and come back with a car we can then evolve. And what was the evolution for this year? Weight loss was part of it, Newey says. We never managed to get down to the weight limit last year. By the end of the season, we were still significantly over, so much more detail through the winter to get the weight off, and then the rest was primarily aerodynamic refinement. There has been much focus these past 2 years on the Red Bull sidepod design, which uses a heavy undercut beside the driver to channel air around the sides of the car and has a pronounced downward slope on the top surface as it moves towards the rear. But these features are just part of a series of elements, including the front and rear suspension design aimed at making the floor work as effectively as possible. The key to success.